This special guest hails from Riverview, New Brunswick, and now calls New York City home. He's an award-winning actor, writer, comedian, and musician who's making a big name for himself in musical theater and as a voice actor. Joining us digitally from Philadelphia, where he's preparing for a performance of Beetlejuice the Musical, it's Justin Collette. Welcome, Justin.
Hi.
Thank you so much for being with us from your dressing room in Philly.
This is what it's like.
This is it. How long is this your first show in Philadelphia, or have you been here for a bit?
No, this is our second week here.
Okay, second week. Out of how long?
Out of 2 weeks. Yeah, I think we're having it's a bizarre Wednesday, middle of the day show for us. We don't usually have matinees in the middle of the week, but next week we're in Fort Lauderdale, which is like an 18-hour drive, and we open on Tuesday. So I'm thinking that that's probably why this is like this.
Yeah, that's a long ways to go. So for anyone who hasn't picked up yet, Justin is playing the title character of Beetlejuice in the American tour of Beetlejuice the Musical. It's the first national tour after the show closed on Broadway. How has this experience been? How long have you been on the road? What are some surprising things going from being on Broadway full-time to now being on tour? What's the biggest difference?
Yeah, I mean, so it's been really, really great. I've been really enjoying being on the road. I was in New York City throughout the whole pandemic in my little apartment, so it's nice to get out and go see the country. I've been on the road since November. We rehearsed in New York City in October and some in November, and then we went to do our tech in a place called Paducah, Kentucky, which was a really great place. And we opened in San Francisco in December, and now we're here, and we're touring for at least. I mean, I don't know how long the tour itself is going to go on for, but we're going for a while.
For a while, yeah, totally. What was your audition process like? Were you recruited because of your notoriety from School of Rock, which we'll talk about in a little bit, or did you have to go through the full audition process?
Yeah, no, I think I did the full process. I sent in like a self-tape, and then I think it took me about like 10 months to book this role.
Wow.
With COVID and shows closing and shows not knowing when they were going to open up, like this tour has been rescheduled a bunch of times. Mm-hmm. So it was just like it was a very long process to figure out when the show was even going to go, let alone who was going to be in it and where they were going to be, because I think that all depended on what the company looked like once the tour actually got on the road. So yeah.
And did you ever have an in-person audition, or was it all virtual self-tape?
Oh yeah, no, I only had one virtual audition for like a self-tape. I think I was doing Rock of Ages in Houston. And I sent in a self-tape for it then, and then right when I got back to New York City, I think I went in for the first time actually for this on Halloween.
Oh, that's so perfect. So Rock of Ages, so was that like a regional? That wasn't another tour?
No, it wasn't a tour. It was at a really great theater in Houston, a program called Tuts, Theater Under the Stars. They often bring in a lot of people who work on Broadway to come in and do like support some local artists they have there in the show. So a lot of people from our ensemble were local, but the guy who played Drew also played Drew on Broadway for almost the whole run. We had Diana Huey, who was the first on the first national tour of Little Mermaid. She was the Ariel and also did the show in Seattle. So we had a bunch of people who were veterans take on the principal roles, and they hire some locals to
nice. It sounds similar to kind of what's been happening here at the Capitol Theater with the annual big musical production. They tend to bring in some professionals from Toronto and other places, and then a lot of the local actors fill in the ensemble and the smaller principal roles. So it sounds like your theater work as of the last, Broadway and Rock of Ages and Beetlejuice is all sort of like rock musicals, which is sort of true to what your background is. And is that are those the roles you tend to go for, or you just seem to fit them?
I think both. I think they tend to be in shows that I like to do. At this point in my life, I like to do live theater stuff that people leave the show feeling good. I think Miss Saigon is a fantastic show, but the idea of doing that 8 shows a week across the country
Yeah.
is like is torturous for me. Yeah, it's a great show, but it's so
You'd have to be sponsored by
serious and passionate and
Kleenex.
powerful, and I much prefer being a cheeky little demon or an insane school teacher,
Do you get to play?
or
You don't get to
Lonnie,
play
whatever
guitar
he
at
is.
all in Beetlejuice, do you? Though, unfortunately.
No, 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 no. No, there's no clean way for him to rip a guitar solo, unfortunately.
Ah, shoot. So tell us a bit about School of Rock. I know you were in the company for quite a long time, were,
Yeah.
understudy and moved your way up to eventually being the final Dewey Finn on Broadway before it closed. Just give me a quick, what was that experience like? I feel like it elevated your career.
Sure, yeah, that was a much quicker experience. I essentially booked that role in 5 days straight. I auditioned for it on a Friday in Toronto. I had a callback on Saturday. I drove to New York on Sunday. Monday, I had a workshop, like a work session with the associate directors and some people in the creative crew. I went to see the show Monday night, and I auditioned Tuesday for everybody except Andrew Lloyd Webber that time. It was everyone in the entire company, like Lawrence Connor, the director of Miss Saigon, and Les Mis. He also directed this show, and so yeah, I did that, and then I went home, and I think I thought they were considering me for the tour, is kind of what we thought was going to happen. So we didn't think we were going to hear back until August, but then in May, I was on vacation actually with my brothers, and I got an email from my agent saying that I have to move to New York in 2 weeks. Because someone who's in the ensemble was taking a 4-month leave, and they were a cover for Dewey. And
Right.
I found out later that they were basically grooming me to go into that role on Broadway kind of
Wow.
the whole time. But yeah, so then I moved to New York, and I played Dewey like 9 times in the first like couple weeks I was there, which was abnormal.
Yeah,
And
because
then
you were
they
just an understudy.
created the like Dewey alternate role, which meant that for like I think I started working there in like June, and by the end of July, I was doing like all the afternoon shows, all
Yeah.
the matinees, and then by September, I took over the whole thing and did it
Wow, that
for
did happen
almost 2
fast.
years.
So where were you living before you had to move to New York, and how was that rapid fire transition to one of the busiest cities in the world?
Yeah, I was living in Toronto.
Okay.
So yeah, it wasn't like the craziest switch for me was when I was going to university in Sackville and then moved to Chicago for a year. That was the biggest shock. But yeah, no, I was living in Toronto, working there. I'm doing a lot of commercials, some television, a lot of improv and sketch comedy shows.
And so your Netflix show, Cupcake and Dino, you voice
Yes,
one of the main characters. Which one is it?
Cupcake.
Cupcake. Because you're so sweet,
That's
right?
right. I'm
Did
such a
you,
little kid.
how were you involved in the creation of this? Or again, was it an
No.
audition?
Yeah, no, actually, yeah, I joined that project like a little later, but it ended up being one of my friends, Mark Little, who I did some improv and sketch stuff with.
Yep.
He was already hired for the show, and then I auditioned for it. It didn't look like I was going to get it, and then actually on my drive back from auditioning for Dewey in New York, I got a phone call from my agent saying they wanted me to go in for Cupcake again. And so then I booked that and was actually flying back to Toronto on my days off from doing Broadway to record those voice sessions in Toronto.
Oh, my soul. When it rains, it pours,
It was
right?
crazy, yeah.
That's the thing
Pardon?
as an actor. You either get nothing for a long time and then everything happens and you're like, can
Yeah,
this slow down?
yeah,
So you
yeah. When it
mentioned,
rains, it pours.
being in Sackville, going to Mount A. You've also written some scripts for local dinner theater productions here. I heard that you have been known to write a dinner theater script over like a day, maybe over several beers, in sort of a really confined. Is that true?
I love that that's where the legend has gotten to. That's like categorically, yeah, yeah, that is true. I've written some of those in a whole day.
That's
how good I
impressive. Now, did you have to go back the next day and be like, wait, what did I mean by that?
Nope.
No?
Perfect the
Okay,
first time.
everything was crystal clear. Good. So, yeah, you did Cupcake and Dino. That's still on Netflix currently, right? People can watch that now?
That's right. Yeah.
Awesome. I love it. So before we go, I just want to know, like, what advice you would have for maybe aspiring actors, comedians, performers who are living in smaller, more rural locations who want to make a career in the arts that are, prominently exist in larger cities. Do you think it's necessary to move to a bigger city? What would you tell them?
I mean, it certainly was for me, and I think it makes it a lot easier when you can get connected to a community of people that are extremely driven. The types of people that live in like New York or Toronto, like New York doesn't really let you lie to yourself about where you're at. You're up against people who are extremely talented
Yeah.
and really inspiring. And I think it's not only inspiring to be surrounded by that, but I think it makes your work better.
Nice.
So yeah, I would go out and your goal I think should always be to be the best at your craft.
Ah, that's great advice. Well, thank you for being here. I know you've got to get ready
Thank you for having me.
your matinee.
I gotta go.
So how long does it take? Do you have to do your own makeup?
There's someone waiting at the door right now to do my
Oh,
makeup.
fabulous. We're
My
going to let
makeup
them come
artist,
in
Ducky.
and do their job. Break a leg today, and thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.